and a blog about him getting shot. And it really scared me, so I sent him an email, and he contacted me, and he came all the way from Williamsburg, Brooklyn, New York, to meet with me a couple weeks ago. And while he was talking to me, I said, "Do you mind if I put my camera on you?" Because I couldn't remember everything he was saying, and it was so horrifying what happened to him. And so we, put his interview up on YouTube, and within 4 days it hit over 5,000 hits. Rabbi Rosenberg basically has been advocating for survivors in the Orthodox community in Borough Park and in Williamsburg. He's a Satmar rabbi. It's a community in which is very insulated. They don't watch TV, they don't read newspapers, and so they don't have access to the same kind of education that we all do, about child sexual abuse and how to work the system to get cases prosecuted. He started a hotline, which was basically he would leave recorded messages so that way people can call in and learn about what to do and how to do it, because his community doesn't really use the internet. And because of that, he was threatened. And I don't want to go into his story because I think he's much more powerful when he tells his own story. So I'm honored to introduce Rabbi Nochem Rosenberg.
Thank you very much. First of all, I would like to start off by saying Jewish communities all over the world happen to be the nicest and the loveliest communities. Everybody shares in, and everybody lives like one big family. But just like we have in every bushel, there's a few rotten apples, the Jewish community also has a few rotten apples, a few pedophiles, and a few rotten rabbis that stick out the neck for the pedophiles for money because they get paid off, and so forth and so on. So when I talk about the Jewish communities as a whole, I'm just talking about that small percentage of the rotten ones. I'm not talking about the Jewish community itself. I also belong there, and I'm very happy and proud that I'm in the Jewish community. I would like to first give a brief introduction of how I got started in this whole thing. I opened a hotline to teach our community a lot of things because we don't have TVs and everything, but the street is still progressing, and the children go in the street and in the schools, and they come home with different ideas, and the fathers and the mothers don't know about these ideas. I'll give you a small example. One day, a mom calls me up because I had my hotline and I was teaching. She says, "I found in the wallet of my son some white thing." She didn't even know what white dust is. And she confronts the boy and says, "What is this?" He says, "Mommy, I went to the matzah bakery and I took a little, flour." And the mother was smart enough, she saw that it wasn't exactly flour. She called me up and I tried to tell her that it's serious business. And this is how I started seeing that the community, because we're not up to date, with internet and TVs, we're falling back. I mean, the parents are falling back, but yet the children are going forward because the friends and all. So I decided to talk about a lot of things. Everything went fine for almost 18 or 19 months. Before camp, I started talking about the subject of children molestation. The reason why I spoke about it is not because I have wild dreams like the community claims. It's because I had numerous of complaints, because I had a hotline and people started to tell me about places and how they were attacked from teachers. And I made an issue out of it. Now, the problem was that even if the issue exists, the help didn't exist. So I didn't know where to send it. So what I taught them is 4 basic things. First of all, if anybody tries to touch your private properties, fight back. Don't worry even if he's your teacher. The second thing is start to scream at your highest lungs. In other words, as high as you can scream, scream at him. Say, "Don't touch me, you're not supposed to." Then the third thing is report right away to the principal. Now this is also something which I didn't know, that the principal is the same pedophile in most cases. So you're not getting too far anyway. The best the principal would say is, "Shut up, you're talking filthy and nonsense," and he might even spank him also. The fourth thing was that you should immediately, either by phone or go home and report this to your parents. They should take care. And also, again, this was a mistake because the parents are so limited because once they go back to the school, they'll get the same beating. They're not going to get a physical beating, but they'll tell them, listen, if you don't shut up about it, you're going to wind yourself up that your children will have no place where to go to school. So basically the other two halves weren't too helpful, but the first two happened to have taken a very good step forward. You could have heard in camp some people screaming at teachers, don't take me into the woods, don't this, don't that. It was doing good. So then the rabbis sort of started to see there's a serious problem. If these people start screaming at the teachers, we're going to lose everything. There are a lot of things are going to start flying above the cover, and it's not going to be good. So they decided, without even telling me nothing, and they wrote a decree, and there are 35 rabbis signed on this one, and it says here, Aleph, Beis, Gimel, it's 3 paragraphs. The first one is the hotline is the most disgusting thing for Judaism. The second thing is that according to the Jewish law, you're not supposed to listen to it, and if you listen to it, you'll go to hell. And if you have 70 good years signed up, you'll have them all turned opposite. And the third thing is that I have no trust on mikvahs. I just want to tell you, mikvah is a Jewish ritual bath. For the past 26 or 27 years, I've been helping all communities, even in Baltimore, believe it or not. When the late Rabbi Taub was here, called me down maybe 10 years ago, that he wants to open for the women's section. I should teach him exactly how it has to be done. I never took a penny. I did this. Now that he passed away, his son wants to build a mikveh. He also called me about a year ago. And I do this all over the world, consulting at no charge, because that's my pride. So now, and in Williamsburg, I must have built 5 or 6 mikvahs, and for some Rabbonim that are signed here, I built them from A to Z, consultant with no charge, and I have no trust word on mikvahs. This is such a disgrace that I don't even know how the paper held such a disgrace. Now, because of this didn't mean too much. It also says here, though, that you should not let him in any shul. They hired people that should follow me in every shul and scream at me and hurt me and everything all around. And this is what it says here, and they did it. But what that really does is, beside, I went to Manhattan to daven, I went to, even on Shabbos, you can't travel, so I walked the bridge, which is 1 hour each way. Beside of this, what this really did is, it freed my blood, because it says here that I have the same law as an informer. You know what an informer is? In the olden times when a Jew would give over to the government, and they would kill him or even punish him, he would be considered an informer. The law of an informer is that you may kill him even on the Day of Atonement. That's the law of an informer. Well, it's not talking about in this case, because this case, if anybody doesn't give over, he's worse than an informer, you know, because if you're sexually abused. But what I'm saying is, this is the general law of an informer. Why I got this title, I'll never know. I didn't inform anything, I just taught the children. So this is the piece of paper that they weren't embarrassed to sign. This paper made that this paper should be born. This paper is, this was, first of all, this one, it was in the newspapers, in the Jewish newspapers, continuously, week after week after week. Then they made this poster, and they must have had 50,000 flyers all over, on all the walls in the whole community, and flying on all streets and every place. Then this was born. This is already the grandchild. This is the child, this is the grandchild. Here it says, you are cursed more than all the animals. Mushkes, I don't even know the definition. A Musa means an informer. Nochem Rosenberg, your name should rot. And you should go out from our community, this is a snake with my face at the end, to take this man off all 4 corners of the earth. Okay? Now, what this did is, obviously, they had all the children lined up to spit at me and to whatever, you know, to antagonize me. They have these messages that they should antagonize me, my wife, my children, and everything. And the lucky part is that the children, most of them were not even home because they were still in camp. This went through the summer. And at the end of the day, they said, I kept on talking on my hotline and everything, and I kept on going to the government for help. And I will come in a few minutes where we go, when we go for the government help, where I got.